All right, we got a couple presentations tonight, and one of them is a swearing in of our new EMS Deputy Director, Derek Booker. Would you please stand forward?
Mom and Dad, this is like one of the most amazing things that we do here in town is when somebody gets promoted or we swear in one of our new officers, and it's one of the occasions that we get to celebrate. And Derek is just such a wonderful asset to the town of Waldoboro. When I first met him, I knew sometimes you just get a good feeling about somebody. And when I met Derek, I knew great things were going to happen with him. And obviously they have. So you're going to hold the Bible. And then after he's sworn, after Select Board Chair Simmons swears him in, you're going to pin him. Now, the urge I would have as a mother is to stick him just a little bit, but you don't have to do that.
Derek, step forward. Right hand.
Pushing the Bible right hand up.
Yep.
Yes. Put your left hand on the Bible and your right hand up. And repeat after me. I, Derek Booker,
I, Derek Booker,
solemnly swear
swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
as long as I shall continue a citizen thereof.
as long as I shall continue a citizen thereof.
I will, in all respects,
I will in all respects
observe the ordinances of the town of Waldoboro
observe the ordinances of the town of Waldoboro,
and the Constitution
the Constitution,
and the laws of the state of Maine.
and the laws of the state of Maine.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the EMS Director
of the EMS Director
for the ensuing municipal. Run over. You gotta hold it out. You got it. Just to get a reaction. Good job. And I was told Richard would like to say something.
Yep, just briefly. Just a little history on Derek. He started in as a driver in 2009, as he showed some interest in EMS. And then from there, in 2011, he got his basic EMT, and he held that for a few years till 2012, actually 1 year. 2012, he went to advanced EMT. And then this past year, last November, a year ago, this November, he received his paramedic. And I'm very pleased to have Derek to be working with me. One of the things, a few that I appreciate about Derek, when you go into the hospital, if you talk to any of the doctors or nurses in the emergency rooms, you mention Derek's name, and they have nothing but good things to say about him, his patient care and how he treats people, how he treats all his patients and the hospital staff. So I'm happy to have him working with me, and we look forward to moving Waldoboro EMS ahead in the future.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
And I just want to say that Derek was put through the usual procedure we have. He went through there was a board, a committee that interviewed him, and he passed with flying colors. He just did an awesome job, and local Waldoboro boy does well, I think, is the caption for that article. Is his dreams come true. And if you weren't in the interview, I was there to listen, but this is his dream job. You know, being here.
Since he was 5 years old.
This is what he's wanted to do his whole life. And this is his home. He has worked in other places, but he considers Waldoboro EMS his home. And that's what makes, I think, our town stand out from so many others, is that we look at it and we look at each other like a family. And that's important, especially with the year we've had. It's had to be like that, because we would be up a creek with no paddle if it wasn't like that for us. If we didn't have that, it's kind of one of those things. We can pick on each other, but nobody else better pick on us type of a family. And the emergency services they're just awesome. And we thank you, Derek. Thanks for having the dream and living it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye. So we do have Ruben if we want to do the CTC meeting as it's scheduled.
Is there enough seats for people to come in, or?
We can let in a few people.
Because I'm sure people would like to see this presentation. More the merrier.
Yeah.
You're next.
Yeah.
Does Ruben want to do something?
Can we switch them around?
We can.
Yes,
Is that
Yeah.
okay?
yeah, okay, then Ruben
Do
is
you
here.
want a motion to do that, or we?
Yeah, I think we're fine.
We're kind of going out of order, so you can just have a seat, Ruben.
Okay.
Yep,
Do we have enough
yes,
seats?
If that's okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're all
No,
set,
we're fine,
you're all
we're
set,
fine.
you're good.
I mean, like, next to him,
Oh, we're good.
I don't care.
People are coming.
We can take at least 3 more right now for seats.
I think that needs some adjustment.
Yeah, it's going to be tilted, unfortunately, like that. But
Yeah.
you'll be fine with that?
Yeah, fine with the tilting, but can we,
I'll get the lights too once
All right.
everyone's settled.
all right.
I didn't even take my chair. Go ahead.
Those are big shoes to fill.
I know.
How many more after?
Yeah, someone can see.
Max, are people gonna be able to hear Sahib all right?
I'm sorry?
Are people gonna be able to hear him okay? People on,
We're gonna do our
You can
best.
see, there should be a mic right up there.
I can turn this mic around, if that'll help.
Nope, you'll be fine. There's a mic right here.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to raise my voice as much as I can.
It's hard with the masks too.
It's hard with the mask, but try my best, I guess.
Whenever you're ready to go,
Yep, you can
It's
go ahead
probably-
and start, and then
just introduce yourself and
Yeah.
what you're doing here.
Right, of course. So, thank you so much for having me today. It's really absolutely my pleasure to be presenting to you today. So, just a little bit about myself. My name is Sohaib Ahmed. I'm from University of Maine, a PhD student. I study the flow and the flow physics in estuaries. And this is me trying to be a climber. Probably you can tell I'm not good in climbing, but I really enjoyed this experience. I learned a lot from it, and I do appreciate what these people are doing. I'm originally from Iraq. I came here in 2014, moved to United States. I started a family here. I have a wife and 2 kids. I'm glad I didn't bring them here. They will be so excited with the toys. I work with Lauren Ross. She's my advisor. She's assistant professor at the University of Maine. She would love to come here, but she's on family visit. We're also she's here collecting data in the Medomic estuary, by the way, I have to say that. We're also collaborating with Sean Smith, Bridie McGreevy, and Gabby. She also wants to be a climber one day. You probably met her before. So I'm assuming that most of you have seen this animation before. So what we did here is we were trying to look at the optimum location for the upweller to have the best outcome in terms of clams number.
Just so everybody knows, the upweller is where we make baby clams.
Yes.
They do a little dance. A little put down tonight.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Julie. So you're probably wondering, how did we do it? So I'll spend some time
trying to answer this question, and also we'll talk about what other things that we're doing, and what is the role of Clamors in that, and how can we expand our window of collaboration. So how did we do it? So real world, we have estuaries, and we want to study like the flow physics, and how material are being transported and dispersed in these estuaries. But that requires collecting a lot of data. We have a very we need the spatial resolution to be able to answer some of these questions, like how material are being transported. And that's like in real life and practical. So what we did is we replicated the system. We simulated the system using computer model to predict the flow in the Medomic estuary, of course, by using some physics. So by physics, what we mean. So the model covers this area. I'm sure it's like a little bit blurred, but I hope you can see. So the model covers the Medomic estuary as well as other systems. And we forced tide at the ocean boundaries and also salt. So these tide and salt data are based on realistic data, satellite data. We also forced river discharge at the upstream side of the system. We have around 12 rivers separated over the entire area. And of course, we have bathymetry. So to be able to make a realistic model, we had to use realistic bathymetry. What we mean by bathymetry is the bottom depth. And that's it. We solve the physical equation using supercomputer, the University of Maine supercomputer. Otherwise, would take very long time to be able to simulate that huge model using our PCs or laptops. And that's it. This is the velocity field in the Medomic estuary. The red means high velocity. The green or the blue means low velocity. The model was able to kind of predict some complex flow feature like the eddies here. You know, you can see, hopefully you can see that it's flood phase. Sorry about that. That's all right. I know I did something wrong.
It's all right, you're good.
All right, so not only velocity, but also salinity. You see salinity structure that was captured by the model. We're not only doing numerical modeling, we're also, of course, measuring the data in the system, like realistic data. Why? To be able to compare the model outcome with the data to make sure that the model is reproducing the real life. Otherwise, the model could be wrong. So to build some sort of trust relationship with the model and give you something accurate. So this is how we did it. What else we're doing? So we're not only doing numerical modeling in the Medomic, but also doing modeling elsewhere, like the Frenchman Bay. This is also the salinity in the Frenchman Bay, and we're trying to answer a lot of questions related to water quality. We're helping the Maine Department of Marine Resources building a better policy management to kind of optimize their operation, I guess. We're also helping the fisheries, mussel farm owners, Clamors to sort of expand their work. So just to give you an example, the Maine Department of Marine Resources asked how long would it take to renew the Sullivan estuary? How long would it take for the water in the Sullivan estuary to be replaced? And that would be used to target the pollution issue. So what we did, we filled the system with virtual particles. Like everything is virtual these days. So virtual particles, and we track these particles to know how much would it take for the Sullivan estuary to be renewed. This axis, like 100 means the estuary is full, 0 means the estuary is empty, and let's track the particles. See, so, as the tide goes in and out, the particles, sorry about that, the black line represent the particle inside the system, and it like reduces with time because the estuary is being renewed, and the blue lines refers to the number of the particles, percentage of the particles that goes to Frenchman Bay, and the red line represents the number of the particles that goes to Skilling. So it's like not only how long would it take to flush the system, but also where the particle would go, and how long would it stay at the estuary of interest. The other thing is the closure to the rainfall event. So we know that if we have rainfall event, we have closure, and we're also targeting that. So what we did is releasing particle at the stream to be able to basically pinpoint the areas that would be susceptible to that pollution. And we already quantified how long would it take for these particles to be flushed out. So how the climber can help? We have the tool to invoke in our favor. But you, the climber, or you, would help us ask the right question. And like questions like where to put that upweller to have the maximum number of climbs. And I see the outcome is like an absolute win. Like reconciling the level of expertise of the climbers with our knowledge, we can score victory for everybody, in my opinion. Thank you so much for having me, and I'd love to have your questions.
Somebody get the lights.
Or no? Light on?
Can we get the lights?
Yep. Oops.
In the back there.
There you go.
All right. Any question, concern, comments?
Yeah, I was going to put Glenn on the spot here and just give everybody a little overview of what transpired
Go
today.
ahead, you're the chair.
No, go
You're
ahead.
the chair.
Yep, you've been spearheading this, so.
So what do you want me to ask, to say?
About start with Gabby, and
Yeah.
because Gabby's been instrumental into.
The whole reason that we did this project was everybody knows we were building the upwellers, and we really didn't know where to put them. It's that simple. We could drive them anywhere, but we may be years learning where they would produce which codes. So we contacted the University of Maine with Dr. Ross and asked that this model that they were already doing for pollution could be shifted to track seed. As he said, they're using the model for pollution in the Sullivan River and stuff like that. So we shifted around for seed, and we worked with them, and a lot of people here have seen the models. They can be sent to you if you're curious of what happens over 2 weeks, depending on exactly where the upweller is in the river. So that's what this whole thing is about. That's why they're here. The university has, I think, 8 different choices or 10 different choices of where, if the upweller was in the river, which coves it would seed and not seed. So there it is right there. I don't know if you can start the ABIs or not.
No, it's just a picture.
It's just a JPEG.
Yeah, I don't have the
Yeah, can you
animation.
access you can't bring up the ABIs.
Yeah, hold on. Do you have internet here?
Yeah, we should have wireless.
Can we link me in?
You have the password to lock him in, because he could show us the ABIs.
If you go on guest, it just goes right on.
All right.
And another part to this is we've been trying to figure out how to get more seed in the river without building a hatchery. And this was the best possible way of achieving that.
All
Without-
towns up and down the coast are fighting the same problem we're fighting. And a lot of towns are using little wooden boxes and going in a totally different direction than what Waldoboro is. In Waldoboro, a wooden box that holds 200 clams is not gonna last long with 150 diggers. It's not even worth our time, in our opinion. In Waldoboro, we think size matters. We gotta go bigger to satisfy 150 people. This upwell will produce approximately 12 gig, that's 9 zeros, for all the people that aren't math people, of seed during every seed period. And clams in the Potomac seed in May, and they seed in October. So she would dump, now being able to put it anywhere in the water column that we want, we're hoping we can control the direction of the clams and where they go. So that's the theory.
Yeah.
We'll see how it all works out over the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob?
I had a question regarding the strategy. I mean, I've heard you talk about wanting to plant those seeds closer to the edge of the drop-off to minimize damage from green crab. Is that?
What happens, Waldoboro's theory, and this is just Waldoboro's theory,
Yeah.
is the green crab invades our river. We get a couple of warm winters and it wipes the clams literally out of the river. It is virtually dead. Well, it's not gonna kill the river. The Potomac always seems to come back, and it always has. But as it seeds in, the green crab can't eat the clams along the very edge because they're in the hard rock. So their seed appears to start at the hard rock again as it recovers and head back towards the channel. Every year more seed goes back towards the channel. Wouldn't it be cool to be able to have an upweller dumping seed in the channel, at the channel? We discussed putting these in a cove and letting the upweller actually seed the whole cove. But we're afraid as it goes dry that the green crab's gonna get it. So right now, we wanna keep it floating. There's so many theories, so many ideas. We welcome it all. The Shellfish Committee talks about this every meeting on where we should put it, why we should put it there, why we shouldn't put it there. We're gonna build another one this year. We just got the okay and the finances to do that. That's really cool. That money is gonna come from the clam diggers, nobody else, no taxpayers. The clam diggers are funding their own projects.
They fund their whole program.
Yes, we are one of two towns in the state, I believe, that completely funds its own program. I believe it's us in Woolwich. Every other clam digging town operates off the taxpayers, and we won't do it. We're gonna take care of ourselves the best we can. So we're gonna fund another upweller, so we will launch 2 upwellers at 12 gig a shot. That would take you to 24 gig every reproduction period, twice a year. That's a lot of seed that you can put anywhere you want. And we have the AVIs up here now. If you take a look at each one of these models that they've produced, the black spot would be the location of the upweller. The red would be the seed. So as you move the upweller around, look where the seed is going in a 2-week tide cycle, which is on the bottom. The theory is that clams, once they spawn, float from 1 to 3 weeks before they actually touch down. So what happens to them from those 1 to 3 weeks is kind of a key thing. So we picked a 2-week scenario to give to the University of Maine, which you're looking at right there, and see where do they go depending on where the upweller is. And now we can have discussions of theories of, do we want to seed one side of the river? If you put it towards one side, does it seed that side or does it seed the other side? Or does it not make any difference which side it's on? So these are all questions we threw at the University of Maine, and Dr. Ross and I spoke many times over the summer. And to have them come back with this kind of a visual effect by creating their own model with supercomputers for Waldoboro is kind of cool.
Yep. And I don't believe anything like this has been done before, has it?
No,
Here?
No,
not with
I
seed.
think
No, they've been chasing it with
we're
pollution,
pioneer. Yeah, yeah,
but not with seed.
yeah.
To actually launch this as seed is totally Waldoboro's idea in theory. As I said, we're not big followers. There's a lot of people out there that think that they have all the answers. And if they did, we wouldn't have any problems, right? So Waldoboro is gonna do what Waldoboro does as the leading shellfish town in the state of Maine and take our own direction.
Yeah, and like I said, you ask the question and we help to answer. I think there's a lot we can do with the model, a lot. Sometimes like people ask us questions that we are not even there to ask. So, like where to put the upweller. We didn't know even what an upweller looked like. We didn't know what upweller means. Like, then we produced that animation, and hopefully
They originally started as part of the Madomic project. They were building this to chase pollution,
exactly
to keep the river
yes.
clean. That's
Yeah.
how they came here to begin with.
Yeah,
And after some discussion with me and Dr. Ross, we kind of flipped it all around and made it a seed experiment as well as pollution.
as well as pollution.
So not only do we know how the river
Yeah.
goes pollution-wise, we'll know how it goes seed-wise.
Yeah.
Cool. Does anybody in the audience have any questions?
Bob?
Bob?
So, how are you gonna handle the data on this? Are you gonna be following up to look at actual seedings and harvests and compensating or allowing for potential other factors, variables like green crab?
All these experiments take years. Anything you read from an experiment out of a magazine and they got the results in a year is BS, which you'll read everywhere. Haven't done this for 40, I don't know what the math is, 44, 45 years.
Long time.
It takes years for this stuff to take effect. A clam takes 1, 2, 3 years to grow to a harvestable
I guess my
size.
question was more directed to the idea of how are you gonna organize yourselves to collect the data you need over the time that you're gonna do this study to make a determination about what's best to do and what's not good to do?
Being a digger, I can tell you exactly how that river is and does, and I can tell what the expectations would be. Mud will have clams that doesn't have clams now, sooner than usual. I can tell you just by a harvesting experience, rather this worked or rather it didn't from where it is. There's no technical follow-up because we're gonna dump 12 gigs of seed in the river and see where it goes. I don't know how you could chase them, you know what I mean, or come up with any type of a following thing unless it seeds flats or it seeds at places that we expect it to, that it doesn't normally have.
I would think there'd be a correlation between what you see here and where you're actually gonna be growing the clams and hopefully
Exactly.
finding them because you've taken advantage of that information.
Exactly, yes, we're hoping it feeds that way. I don't know how else we'll draw a conclusion except that there'll be more clams in that area than we've experienced.
I think it's gonna be more harvester data than it is
Yeah.
scientific data.
When I looked at some of these animations, it made me understand why Sampson's Cove is sometimes such a good spot.
Yep. Yep.
Because of the way that water flows. It's amazing.
We had discussion at the last meeting about why the east side, a particular cove out there, just never seems to seed. And once you see the animations, you can see why.
It's got a lot to do with the flow of the river. Yep. Cool. Does anybody else got any questions?
This is an ongoing study?
Yeah, it is. Well, I think this is concluded, and we're gonna follow up, of course, based on Glenn request. But it's ongoing study in terms of pollution. We still have a lot of questions. And we also would love to have like questions from the town manager, from the clammers, more questions to answer, because like we can conclude that and we can kind of publish papers, because we're a researcher, we do like science, but sometimes it's difficult for us to deliver these kind of findings to like public or general public, because they may or may not understand it. So we need to know what kind of data we can provide and what kind of question we can answer. So yes, it is ongoing study, but it can be expanded a lot more, and we can answer a lot of questions relating to pollution or relating to optimizing the shellfish and clamming job in the Madomic. And we'd love to do that. We have that sincere desire to do that.
UMO has been absolutely wonderful
They've been
with
dealing
us.
with the Shellfish Committee for the last, 5, 6 years?
And the main shellfish network that Bridie started.
Yeah.
That's more about a lot about outreach, and COVID has kind of kept us from meeting together and doing some fun things, but the main shellfish network through UMO has just been phenomenal, and they reach out to everybody in the shellfish community. And we had started, I guess about a year ago, trying to figure out how to really get the clamor out in front of everything. Because, you know, it's easy when you have, everybody loves a lobster boat, you know, so that's very romanticized and oh, a pretty lobster boat. But there's so many great things about clamming, and you don't really realize it till you're out there, aside from like the hard work part. So the times I've went clamming, I've actually never clammed. I've just taken pictures and got stuck in the mud, which I have to admit, at least Glenn Melvin saved me from, you know, the hole that I had dug myself into. But it is really something that I agree with you. The public doesn't know what they don't know, and they don't realize how interwoven all of this is. So it is exciting.
It is exciting. It is exciting. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, Melvin?
It seems to me that this group of clam diggers that started when I moved to Waldeboro 44 years ago, like Glenn, Abden, and the many others, they have taken the bull right by the horns and tried to make this Madomic River the best producing clam factory that there is. It's not a factory, they're all natural, and I give them great credit. Because it's been the clam diggers themselves that done it. It's not the public telling them how to do it. They know how to do it. And I can remember a year or two ago, Julie getting in an airboat with Ebden and going up and down the river.
We still do that. We do. I go with Glenn too.
She'd never seen the river before.
They had me out in March. We did a reseeding event. They had me out this past March. It was the coldest I have ever been in my life. But it was good. It was really good.
Yep.
They have done, and we actually are ongoing right now. We have a FB Environmental. They're doing an evaluation of every septic system that is in the river watershed to make sure that it's working properly and functioning. And then we will identify the ones that are not, and then we will be applying for grants to help homeowners fix those. So it's all kind of exciting, and that's all done through the Shellfish Committee.
Yep.
All through the Shellfish Committee.
Great.
Yep.
Amazing.
Cool. Well, thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it.
My
I think
pleasure.
Thank
your work is complete.
Yeah, please reach out if you have any questions.
Yep.
We will be more than happy to help.
Would you have a problem if we posted that on our website?
Go ahead, I'll be happy to.
If you can just, I'll get with you and we can talk about what I can put up on the website
Of course.
that's not protected or secret.
Of course, of course.
Secret squirrel UMO stuff.
FDMO stuff, yeah?
It's a nice collaboration, the science, and then the science and the.
I will tell you that that is something that
hard
UMO
work.
has really, I think, strived to do, is they very much listen to the harvester. And I think that's what sets them apart from any other program in the state. And I can say from working with them and talking to other clammers throughout the state, through the network, that's what makes UMO stand out. They approach it, Gabby, Lauren, they've all approached it with, so tell me what you do. Tell me what you know. It's not about, this is what you should know, telling the clammer what they should know. The clammers get to tell them, the scientists, what they know, and they value that. That is the one thing, and I mean, Bridie, Sohab, Gabby, all approached, when they approached, said, we want to know what they know. We're not telling them what we know. We want them to tell us what they know, because they work in it every day. I mean, they work in the most beautiful office, so. Thank
Cool.
you.
Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
I think he deserves a big round.
So I think there's more chairs. Max, do you want to bring up one more chair? I think we should have enough now. We can turn that one around.
Next was Ruben.
Yep, we're gonna bring Ruben up.
We're going to bring Ruben up.
Front and center, Ruben. Just right where you want to be, right?
It's really weird not seeing this whole thing on YouTube. I got really used to that.
Yeah, we got used to you too.
According to Roku, you guys are my second favorite TV show. The weather can tell you what you've been up to.
Do you need the projector?
No. I mean, I could try to do this in Shadow Puppet.
You could, and you should have brought your cat.
I should have brought the cat. Next
His
time.
international star cat.
Yeah, he's a famous coon cat.
And
So I emailed you all the full write-up. I left technical stuff out of here. I'll try and keep this
Can you
short
just-
so you guys can get home.
you just let us know what committee you're on. And
Yep, so I'm Ruben Mahar. I'm the chair of the Communications and Technology Committee here at Waldoboro. Our goal is to get internet where it is not. We've got a lot of good folks in town, without connectivity. These days, especially now, it's pretty clear we need broadband at every house. And we can't flip a switch to fix it overnight, but we certainly are trying hard. For the since I've been on the committee, so last 2-3 years, we've been working primarily on getting internet out to Chapel Hill Road and some roads in front of and behind that. That project is essentially done. Those homes are connected, but if you drive those roads, you'll see 20+ new telephone poles in the ground. We've got different vendors going to move electrical lines and to move phone lines, and that was with no public money. One of our mandates is we're not asking for taxpayer money to staple fiber up on the poles. This was done with a new franchise agreement with Charter, which has been a bit of a hot issue. But we repaired some relationships. We did a lot of talking, a lot of meetings in this room. And the result is, with the new agreement, Charter spent, I don't know what the number is, the telephone poles, $5 to $8 grand, somewhere around there. So that times 20+ technician work at $30 grand a mile for fiber. And we're going to get more than 20 people connected to broadband via cable. We are vendor agnostic. We don't care who the vendor is, whoever can get the broadband there. So if there's questions, that's how that ends. So moving forward, we're looking at who's next. There's some smaller roads that don't fall inside that franchise agreement from Charter. Even under the old agreement from the 80s, Chapel Hill was the last road that could ever be done via a legal agreement without additional funds. So now we're looking at what technology is out and what's coming. And there's quite a few things out there. We're talking to every ISP that will call us back. I'm having meetings once a month now with LCI, and that's just to go over, we can get fiber on the pole, but how else do we talk to these houses? My background for that, I'm a technologist. I'm an endpoint architect for Maine Health, so I know a few things that we can help dump in there. And that's the next place we're going. The email you folks received, we don't deal with business issues with Charter. We won't tell you what they cost, what they don't cost. But if any of you were asked, I included PDFs of every service Charter's going to sell to those new homes we connect. That will probably come up. Oh, let's see. That's all over my document. Looking forward, we need to consider remaining homes with no meaningful connectivity. Meaningful connectivity, there's a certain minimum speed that will let you do all the things that people want to do on broadband. That's video, that's entertainment, that's learning, it's education. ISPs I haven't heard back from, I really am reaching out to anyone that sells internet, whether they exist in town or not. We've heard from Charter, we've heard from LCI. No one else has a whole lot to say right now. I have emailed SpaceX, and I tried to reach out to Elon Musk on Twitter because he seems to talk a lot on there, if you watch the news. They have another tech coming out that's satellite internet, but not the old, slow, expensive HughesNet stuff. This is a different animal that should be coming online in the next year and a half. You'll start hearing about that. I don't have the tech specs with me on that. If you can get to an internet connection, Google Starlink and see what that is. I think that's going to help us a lot in this town. Old satellite, you couldn't do the things we're talking about. With this new one, you actually can. At our last CTC meeting, we met with a company called First Light. First Light owns all the fiber that's part of the 3-ring binder system. That connects your schools, that connects your libraries and things like that. That first meeting was really just a 50,000-foot view of who they are. It's a company that owns a bunch of fiber. What do? They sell internet to places that want to be an internet service provider. Our next task is to digest that data, bring it to the select board, potentially, and see what we can or can't do with that. So I want to make it very clear there are no promises there beyond. We're reaching out to some new players that we haven't had before to see what our next list of options are. From here, we get creative. There's grants we apply for. We look at our smaller roads, and we're looking at things that people maybe haven't suggested. There's a lot of people saying, hey, fiber's great, and it is. But you look at cellular, you look at different radio technologies. So we're trying to demystify that for ourselves and everyone around and make it clear what we can and can't do with that technology. Let's see here. The FCC, the Federal Communications Commission that's responsible for finding out who and who does not have internet, is refining the system they use. It used to be if one house in a census block had internet, everyone was covered. That's being changed, and they're going a lot more granular. So if you have internet but your neighbor doesn't, your neighbor now gets some representation. That's another thing worth looking up. There's utilities you can run so you can report your speed. My email is Ruben, REUBEN.M.MAHAR@gmail.com. If you have questions or a cat photo, email me. I will tell you what I know. I certainly don't claim to know everything, but I'm not afraid
yes,
to tell
you
you what I don't know.
And I got to tell you, if you've ever watched the movie The Day After Tomorrow,
The day after tomorrow.
yeah, when the world turns to ice, the whole thing.
Ugh.
He's the guy that you want at the New York Library fixing the radio.
If there's no power and internet, I'm not promising anything.
I'm telling you, that's the guy you want.
So those are the broad strokes. The other challenge that's going to come, if we get every house connected in town, the next thing is digital literacy is kind of going to come up. If you're a millionaire and you can get gig fiber to your house, you might need to know exactly what you can do with it. We don't have a formal system in place for that. I'll start with, if you have a question for me, how does this Wi-Fi work? I'll do my best to give you an answer and to give you a resource. But that's going to be our next challenge once that's all done. If you want to take advantage of that for education, for employment, whatever, I don't expect anyone to magically know how to do that stuff. That's my whole job in healthcare all day, is everything's online, so I know it. So if you're unsure of something or don't understand a concept, shoot me an email or text me, 207-907-6704. Please keep it to text. Usually I'm in a room somewhere building something at a hospital somewhere, but I will do my best to answer you. And if you do text me, tell me who you are so I know who I'm answering. Now that I've flown through that, possibly way too fast, any questions here? Any questions here?
I'd just like to make a comment.
Let me get out of the way so you can make your comment.
And express thanks to you. He means what he says when he's giving you his email address and his phone number. Just last week, he got in touch with Spectrum on behalf of an important school in Waldoboro and helped them with their connectivity and their pricing. It was a godsend. So thank you for doing that, Ruben.
Well, that extends to businesses too. I don't mean this question just for your kid doing homework. The better people do, the better the rest of us around here do. I also, I get to go to the EDC meetings, that's another important thing. Everything's shifting to use data to move forward. It's not important by itself, but just the clamming thing, 100 times more important. That's a real living part of the local economy. But getting everyone, into the digital literacy, getting everyone connectivity, that's going to connect all these things. I'm sure at some point someone here will be selling a lot of clams on the internet. I want to help get you there. So does everyone else.
Cool.
All right.
Does anybody got any questions for Ruben?
All right.
You are free to go.
Thank you.
I'm going to get out of Dodge.
Yes.
Catch you on the internet. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Say hi to your cat for me.
Oh, you got it.
Is there any questions or anything on? Oh, Max is on the run. All right.
Max is on the run.
Yep.
I'm
Well-
just gonna quickly grab, I wanted to ask Ruben a question.
Okay. Good.
Just about a second.
All right, Matt. You're good.
He's got his phone with him.
There's no public hearings. Adjustments to the agenda. You still there, Katie?
Katie, are you still there? She's probably muted. I think he muted her.
Okay. All right. Guess we'll move along. No adjustments, Bob? You're good? Okay.
There might be an adjustment, am I not right?
It's up to them if they want.
I don't have.
Okay. We'll move right along. Citizens' comments. Saran Pond,
I'm right here,
presentation,
yes,
front and
front
center.
and center, right.
Do you want the podium? Would that be
I
helpful?
would like the
I know
podium.
you, I think you want to
I've
have
got a bunch
something
of
to
piece of
stand
paper,
on, so,
right.
like not stand on,
Yeah.
but you're right there.
There you go.
So I have sent all of you the plans, but I made paper copies too. Someone actually had a color printed. Do you want one?
Somebody to.
I don't think I have enough for everybody, but I have
I
one
can make
for
that
each
happen.
seat.
I'm good.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll take a
Jan?
paper copy.
Here, you can
Oh,
take
I'm
mine.
sorry,
I already have one.
Okay.
We've been
Oh, you already have
passing
one?
them
Okay.
down.
Oh, you've been passing them down.
Good.
You're good?
I'm good.
You're good?
Yep.
So
Okay.
you might have enough.
So I might have enough. Ooh.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be front and center.
what I do.
Don't worry, we're all wearing masks.
I know, I hope you think that. Thinking, I put lipstick on, why did I bother?
I'll hand it out.
Let me keep one, okay? There we go. So,
I'm gonna let some people share. Oh, sure, we can share.
okay.
We're not supposed to share. Sharing's caring.
All yours.
Great, thanks. So, good evening. My name is Saran Pine, and thank you for allowing me to come tonight before the board today. Some of you know me as the chair of the A.D. Gray School Committee, which is charged with researching and negotiating the proposal by Volunteers of America to turn the former high school building into subsidized housing for seniors. Some of you also know that I'm a private citizen. I do not believe I have a conflict of interest, but please let me know if you think I do. I have lived in Maine for over 55 years, and I've been a full-time resident of Waldoboro for over 38 years. So why am I here? After the vote in early November concerning whether we should go along with the proposal by Volunteers of America, several citizens came to me and asked me why the town was not looking into creating a park on the A.D. Gray grounds. And after giving that some thought, I started looking into whether the former school site is feasible for use as an in-town open space park. So by way of background, for those of you who don't know me, part of my past work included for over 30 years providing legal representation for the state of Maine's Bureau of Parks and Lands, and also representing the Land for Maine's Future Board. My work involved me in the creation of many parks with different and varying uses, including parks located in towns as well as rural areas in the state. And that led me to look into whether the A.D. Gray grounds and adjacent parcels would be suitable for an in-town park, and if so, whether it would be possible to make this into an open space for recreational use and enjoyment by all of our citizens. So after some research and questioning, I believe there are compelling reasons for us to demolish the building and relocate the tennis courts, restore the wetland area and the wetland buffer, and create more outdoor recreational opportunities. So I'm here today to urge the board to table or delay your negotiations with Volunteers of America and give the citizens time to finalize these plans, flush out the costs and funding, and to become involved with the planning for an in-town park. You may be asking yourselves, why would we even consider a park at this point in time, given the vote count in November? But as some people have pointed out, that question posed to the voters was binary. It was a binary choice between going along with Volunteers of America or nothing. Nothing, that is, or keeping the building vacant, maybe, for another 10 years. Who knows? I'm left thinking that perhaps the vote would be vastly different if the question was not a binary one, but just related to just the Volunteers of America. So the proposal by the Volunteers of America, as they publicly stated, does not give priority to the citizens of Waldoboro. our townspeople would not get priority for housing offered there. It would be a first come, first served basis. Our townspeople would not receive priority in the employment for construction of the building. And our citizens would not be given preference in employment for the maintenance of the building. So you may be asking yourselves, aren't we obligated to Volunteers of America? Based on not only the vote, but also because Volunteers of America has expressed concern that their funding is time sensitive. So let's be clear, the vote was non-binding. And I submit to you that Volunteers of America is not going to lose its funding. They may need to go into a new funding cycle, which is not unusual, and that should not hinder your decision today to put Volunteers of America proposal aside. And about senior housing, please know that I am in favor of senior housing. I think it has a place in every community, but it should be for our citizens first. I feel we need to take care of our citizens first. Furthermore, senior housing should be placed in an area where it accommodates its residents. Are we really serving our community if we place senior housing compound at the top of a steep hill with no sidewalks? And I believe there are other locations in Waldeboro which would be more suitable for senior housing if and when we decide it's needed. Just so you know, Volunteers of America clearly stated that they have not looked at our population or the specific needs of our community. They cannot tell us whether we need senior housing at this point in time or the extent. Rather, they said they looked at, and this is a direct quote, Mid-Coast Maine. Mid-Coast Maine, for all of you to know, is defined as starting at the northern portions and includes the northern portions of Cumberland County. It goes from the northern portions of Cumberland County, Saginaw, Lincoln, Knox, and all the way up to the top of Waldo County. That's Mid-Coast Maine. That's what they are looking at. Even the Mid-Coast Conservancy, our land trust, uses that definition. So I think that we need to think about our community, our people here. We need to think about Waldeboro. So now if I could just turn your attention briefly to the plan that I provided. Page 1 is the context, which just shows the Medonic River and the streets and the location. And just so you understand the purposes of making this plan, the property was not surveyed. Rather, earlier survey work and tax records and information from the town were reviewed and assembled to create this plan. Page 2 shows existing conditions. Shows existing conditions with an overlay of an aerial photograph. And then 3 and 4 are the same, except that 4 is in the sense that they are the site concept plan, except that page 4 has an aerial view overlay. So this plan is functional and efficient. It allows for removal of the building, soil remediation, gravel and site preparation, all in an efficient and functional manner. And it allows for the placement of 2 new tennis courts, the removal of the current courts, and the consideration of the wetland so that water quality is improved. In this new location, the new tennis courts would have greater visibility and better proximity to the street. And you can also see that added in is additional parking for the baseball, I was going to say football, for the baseball field, an ice rink, community gardens, an area for a farmer's market, a bathroom facility, water and electricity. Of course, you need to understand this is a concept. These items are potential uses and improvements to be installed only if funds exceed demolition and landscape. It's possible other people would have other suggestions and thoughts about the layout and the improvements and the uses. So about funding and costs. Concerning the cost of the project, of course it depends on the final plan, but currently I'm working on the estimating process with contractors for all potential portions of the design. And let me talk about funding for just a minute. I've made inquiries about this in-town park project, and I have received strong indications that private donors will give money towards this project. And likewise, at the state level, I've reached out to people I know there at the Bureau of Parks and Lands, and I've again received strong indications that matching funds will be available through the Land and Water Conservation Fund, which is administered by that bureau. To receive those funds, the match requirement can be financial, in-kind services, or even contributing value based on volunteer time. So you could be asking, why shouldn't we just leave the tennis courts where they are? But that's not really a good idea. They're located in part in a wetland and to a great extent in the wetland buffer area. To remove the courts, you get a much higher score in the because of the environmental mitigation. And the plan should also place the town in good standing with the state so that in the future, when we need more funds, whatever the project is, we will not receive negative points in the scoring process. So, in conclusion, I'm urging you to delay any process with the Volunteers of America. The vote in early November was specifically non-binding, and voters were only given that binary choice of going along with Volunteers of America or nothing. So, and that proposal gives absolutely no preference to our townspeople. I believe the voters will support this project and this in-town park will enhance our town. So let me emphasize, if the park is accomplished, and I hope it will be, we will be able to create a lovely in-town park for the benefit of our community, where residents of Waldoboro are welcome, and improve water quality and allow the town to score well on future projects. So I'm asking you to put off all decisions about going with the Volunteers of America and encourage me to work with the appropriate constituencies to get this worthy job done. Thank you.
Is there any other citizens' comments?
Any questions?
Sounds awesome.
Melvin?
We have fooled around with this A.D. Gray School for 11 years because the Madonna Middle School is 11 years old. That's when students first went there. And they went from A.D. Gray, Union, all to the Madonna Middle School. I think it's about time we done something for the town. Not housing for the elderly or, bring in more people into this town, because the way this Volunteers of America, what I've studied of it, is nothing more than Section 8 housing. And we know what Section 8 housing is. We don't like it, but there is people that have to live that way. So I'm recommending, in my personal view, that a park is far better. Get rid of that old building. We have a town crew that claims they're so busy, but I can see them down the road. They were there yesterday, all day long, digging out a little tiny beaver dam. So, you know, we can do things. And it sounds to me like this board here has done a lot of things. All the presenters I've had, I haven't been here for a while because COVID-19. That's my piece.
Well, you guys know, Tibico, 61 School Street, I think you know how my family and I feel. We actually contacted Saran when we first became aware of the VOA project and asked if the town had ever considered a park. I love this as a starting place, a jumping off point for ideas. And I've spoken a couple times here with you folks in the detail as well. And I really appreciate, Saran, your pulling this together and presenting this so well for us.
I'd like to hear from the select board.
You're probably not gonna hear. This is just citizen comment, we don't
I
usually.
asked that my position be
That's,
moved up.
but you're a citizen, you're not doing a presentation for a program or for a nonprofit or whatever you wanna call it, so this is why we put you where we put you.
So, one of the things that I think I talked to Saran about is getting, when the community foundation came, there was no communication with our rec director when the original A.D. Gray plan came up a few years ago when I was first here. I think that you guys need to think about if any, no matter what happens, will you guys set up a recreation committee to talk about just these issues? So just make sure that, I think anytime we're having discussions like this, we need to include Marcus in them and the recreation committee. Because that's going to see where it falls in their
I think there's a lot of questions
plan.
with this that I think they should be asking the rec department.
I'm sure they will. I had
with Marcus.
right, but I had 2 calls today from committee members on the recreation committee, and they're just like, we're going to get a chance to look at this. And again,
So when are they meeting next?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Marcus that. I don't know. They haven't met in a while because they have COVID concerns. They have a couple of people who are, I guess in that, what is it called? Category, the high risk category. So, but,
Well, dear.
Right here. Yeah.
but definitely, I just want
I think if they get a
you guys to
pressing
be
issue
aware.
to deal with, they probably.
I'm sure they would, yeah, I'm sure they would. But I just want to make sure that everybody's aware, it include them, because then we'll get the same, if we don't, we're going to get the same reaction of, we weren't asked. And I think they've been working very diligently on the community center, on the fields, that project. So if there's a way to make it all come together, that would be great.
Absolutely. I mean, I think what we're asking for is just if we can slow down in the VOA so that we, you know, abutters and other folks who might want to be involved in discussing other options have the time to do that.
Yep.
And certainly the rec department, if we can go ahead with looking at a park proposal, I think that makes a great deal of sense, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I'd make a motion that we refer the matter to the Recreation Committee to get their input on it.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion? Is Katie's probably still?
Katie, I texted Max. Let me see Katie's.
Yep. I just
Let me
wanna
see
make
if I
sure.
can figure it out.
I'm just
Katie is our other select board member, and she texted me, she's like, I hear you, I just can't talk.
Yes.
Because I think Max has her muted. Hold on.
I can see her.
Katie Winchenbach.
I don't
Katie?
It's, I don't think it's a touch screen.
I'm sorry, ask to unmute.
Yeah.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So you heard us, Katie. Bob made a motion to send this proposal to the recreational committee, and the colonel seconded it. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Katie?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Cool.
I can't see her from that far away.
Well, cool.
Thank you, guys.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you for listening.
Yep. Absolutely.
See, there was nothing to be nervous about. Not a thing to be nervous about. You had lipstick on, and we didn't even get to see your lipstick. And nice perfume.
Oh, no. Maybe
Maybe it's
it's hairspray.
hairspray.
Are you treating?
All right, we'll move along. Does anybody else got any citizens' comments?
Yeah, any other citizen comments while you're here?
No, I think that's amazing. I think it's a great idea. It makes sense and actually brings the community together. It makes sense.
So I just need the names of
No
everybody.
brainer. No brainer.
I would let Marcus do the whole thing.
He's on one. I tried to say yes.
Not really, I'm joking.
It should be on the website.
Yeah, it's on the website. It's on our website too. I was joking about that. They're really nice people. But they just want to be involved
Oh,
because
yeah,
it's their thing.
that's fine.
Yep. And I think charging them with that is where it
Right,
should be.
because that's,
I just want to say thank you. That was amazing.
All right, we're gonna,
See that? That's like a little bit of common sense, a little bit of. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
all right, we're gonna move along.
goodbye, Huggy Bear.
9699.
I can't see that smile behind your mask. He was told to smile when he came in. He's always so grumpy.
He's one of our members. He took John Higgins' place as Huggy Bear.
All right, we'll move along. Select board comments. Katie, do you have any?
Yes, I want to give a big shout out to the fire, police, and EMS departments for the Fill a Cruiser food program on Sunday night. I was honored to be a part of it.
I think we were all there at one point in time.
At some point, it was great.
Yep,
People put in some really hard work on that.
yep. Is that it, Katie?
Yes.
Okay, Bob?
I've got a couple things. Mid-Coast Conservancy is looking for a new executive director. They're actively recruiting. The word is out, so if you know somebody who'd be interested in that position, speak up. Contact Mid-Coast. The library has gone back to the COVID-19 schedule. They're doing lending through the window at the back of the building. The bookstore has unfortunately had to be closed. But I think they're still doing things online, so if you needed to do something online with the bookstore, you can. The library's accessible. I was down there yesterday doing a Zoom meeting. And that's the third thing I want to talk about. Hats off to the fire department. There was a guy ran into a telephone pole down on Friendship Road yesterday. He knocked out the electricity, he knocked out the internet. I mean, everybody was sort of left in the dark. And we had our guys out there, our emergency guys out there at the front of Friendship Road, telling people going down on Friendship, they had a detour, and they had people down on Fintown Road. Friendship Fire Department was down there telling people coming this way that they had to go around down Fintown Road. And they must have been out there for 3 or 4 hours to get this thing straightened out. So thank you to them for all the hard work they put in to take care of that.
Cool.
That's my comment.
Colonel?
Just two. First, I was looking online at our view here. The cameras seem sharper. I don't know whether they did it or Marcus did it. If you did, good job. It's 100% better than what it was.
I'll make sure to tell Marcus.
Or I meant,
You meant Max.
Max, all right. Please tell Mark that Max said, yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, and the other thing is, I'm going with Julie and Karen on
Yes.
Thursday to the Y
Yes.
over in Damascotta with LCTV.
Cool.
Cool.
We're gonna talk about our new navigator.
Ah, nice. Well,
Jan?
well, I came in on Thursday to welcome our new navigator, and her desk had things going. She said that she sat down, just came in running.
She did.
And just said that this was the most welcoming place, and that it was her second day, and she loved it. She was just so excited, and it was really nice to see her energy and to see all the things. And she started going through all the things that she had done since she got there, and it was amazing. I think that's going to be a wonderful position for our community, and she's already done good things for a lot of the members, citizens of this community, and I'm really thankful to have her there. The other thing, I work in the schools, and listening to Ruben and the technology, I am not very technological. But watching some of the teachers teach a class of students who are there, simultaneously teaching students who are on a computer, is no easy task. And it just amazes me how they have come to the front and learned how to do that and how to keep that going. I also got to do a lesson online with a student, and it's all brand new to me, and so I think the face of education is changing. And I admire those teachers. That was a steep curve in a very short time. So, that's it.
Okay. I'm all set. I've said enough tonight. Our illustrious town manager's report.
I will keep it short. It's just going to be about our community navigator. As Jan said, she's been here now 3 times. Yesterday was her 3rd day. It's just been amazing. Her first day, she was already hit, like Jan said, she hit the ground running. Police are overwhelmed, so happy that she's here. She had worked with DJ, who used to be a Damascotta officer, with him in Damascotta in a similar position. So she met with him, she met with the chief, she met with Richard Lash, our EMS chief. She's met with everybody. We gave her a list. She's been on that list. She made contact with, I believe it was right around 45 families already in the 3 days she's been here, through not only with helping with the toy program, but with our basket program that we're doing in conjunction with the Lions. So we're getting our foot in the, she's getting her foot in the door, and it's just been wonderful. Already helping with a few veterans issues, also with housing needs. It's just been, getting a little choked up. It's been a wonderful program, and it was something that I knew, we've been working on this for a year, and it was just nice to see something really come to fruition, and it's something that's very meaningful, and I think we're going to touch a lot of people's lives and improve their lives. And again, this is not costing the taxpayers any money. We're doing this through trust funds that were originally donated to take care of widows that were virtuous and orphans. So we went through the whole process of doing that trust conversion to help families. So that's what we're using, and private donations. I also just want to give a big shout out, Katie did, to the police, fire, and EMS. They really were great doing the Phila Cruiser event the other night. It was a little chilly out there. Katie was there. All of you showed up. Thank you very much. We got all these toys that you can see around us, and more keep coming in. And I have to mention, we're doing a coat and boot program too, and I cannot say enough about Rennie's. They partnered with us several times and were so generous with us during the food pantry. What a wonderful business. They have been fabulous with us. in setting up the coat and the boots for us. And I deal with, I forget her name now. Oh my goodness, it just went out of my head. Anyway, they're absolutely wonderful over there, and they've just been very generous with us, and I'd like to thank them. If you need a Christmas basket, please let us know by the 13th. You can sign up online, or you can call the office.
Oh, he smiled. I think he smiled. I think I saw it behind the mask.
And they will be handed out the Saturday before Christmas by the Lions in one of our bays, out of one of our bays. Just to give you an idea, and I think I've said this before, roughly 32 baskets were what we used to give out around Thanksgiving. When all was said and done, it was over 101 baskets. So there is a need, and it's increased this year for sure. And same thing with the toys. The asks were a certain level, and we're seeing those grow. And what we're seeing is it's not so much people who have gotten the help before, it's people who, we had a woman call today, and she said to me, she said, I wouldn't normally do this, but she said, I lost my job for a while. I'm just getting back. I had to take a job at Walmart because my employer's not rehiring. And she's like, I don't need a lot. I just need some stocking stuffers. And she said, it's just because I don't want my kids to think that Santa forgot them, because we always put little things in their stocking. She goes, we've never been big gift givers. So she goes, I don't need the big toy. I just need a few little things to put in their stockings. And I just thought to myself, you know, but for the grace of God go I. It could be any of us. And she wasn't asking for a lot. She just needed a little help. And that's what we're here for. And that is, put it really in perspective for me today. So we're here if you need it. We have things. We're more than welcome to, more than capable of helping. And it shouldn't be something that you're embarrassed to ask for, because a lot of people are hurting, people who have never been in this situation. And that's what made it so hard, as she was explaining. I've never been in this position in my life. And I think that's kind of the piece sometimes we forget about, is that there are people amongst us that it's not the people you expect, it's the ones you don't expect that just, this has been hard on everybody. So that's all.
Okay. Cool. Moving along, consent calendar. Somebody make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So
Make a motion to accept the consent calendar.
You want to second it, Bob?
Yep.
Okay, Bob seconded it. Any discussion?
I was waiting for Katie when you mentioned that. I looked up.
Do we want to talk about the East Pond Road project, or is that going to be posted on the internet? So
It's all going to be posted on the internet.
People will be aware of it.
Okay.
Okay. They're going to pay
When it's time,
3.3 miles on Route 1 in the summertime.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like in front of our place.
Yes?
Yes, you're
Yep.
going to be paid.
Right by your place.
Yeah. Does it start at the Noblesboro line?
No, about 0.3 of a mile this side
Back
of
of
it.
the-
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Katie?
Yep.
Okay.
Want me to read this?
Oh, correspondence?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Okay. This is a picture of the Jaguars baseball team, 2020. And with their names listed inside, rather nice card. Dear Town Selectmen and Rec Department, thank you, exclamation point and underline, for allowing Jaguars to enjoy our 6th season of fall baseball on Begley Field. Begley also received many compliments from other teams. Thank you to Marcus. A fun season, COVID-free. We have a lot to be thankful for. Paul Miner, Jaguars baseball team.
Cool.
Nice.
That's nice to hear.
I think the kids that participated really appreciated the fact that we did the best we could.
Yep. And I think everything worked out fine, as far as I know. I never heard anything from Keith.
Nothing was wrong.
Yep. All right. New business. Set up the budget calendar.
It's that time of the year. So here we are with the budget. By this time last year, you guys had a budget in your hands. That's how good we were last year. I will tell you this much. I have a budget done. I did it with a budget without any going off our COVID budget and taking out all of the state aid, and it's a pretty grim budget. So I did do what you suggested, which was the worst case scenario budget. So I do have one of those.
How bad is it?
it's bad. It's people. You're getting rid of people at this point. So that's how bad it would be. If we were to adopt a budget like that, you're talking about, and I did it for the exercise of doing it.
Right.
But we've gotten so good at it that we're pretty quick now. So that's what we'd be looking at. Obviously, we don't know what the federal stimulus package that they're talking about has aid to states and cities. We don't know what that's going to look like, though. Does that mean you're going to get funding like the last round where some of the bigger cities got it, but the small towns did not? So we have to be prepared. I do not have any idea of state revenue sharing numbers, and I haven't heard anything amazing. I have a meeting on the 11th, the town managers meeting on the 11th. We might have more information then. What I would suggest is, and this is what I haven't even started with my department heads, I've let them know, start thinking about it, but honestly, we pretty much know what we got. We've got what we've got right now. I would like to start having our first budget meeting on the 26th of January, and that's our second meeting. That's our select board's second meeting. If we could have our first joint budget committee then. I still don't know if I'll have anything to give you other than our expenditures, because I'm not going to know what revenues, state revenues, but we can proceed with the notion that looking at what we're going to have to do with expenditures.
Would that be a workshop?
Just be a workshop.
Yep. At 5 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe we have our meeting at 5 and do budget committee at 6 because it's hard for some of our budget committee members to get here at 5, if you recall from last year.
Yep. Now, just to give everybody a heads up, what we asked Julie to do was not even include revenue sharing in our budget, to try to get away from that money. And if we have to backfill, I mean that's a good way to do it, but
it's a starting point. It's not a great starting point, but again, it's where we're at. We just have to be prepared.
Yep.
We're in good shape because we took such good measures. I think that we're going to, this year, we're decent. But as everybody is saying, and what I'm hearing is, it's this coming year that's going to be the problem. So I think we should prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And I like to be pleasantly surprised rather than taken off guard. And if you'll recall, we were one of the first towns to take the cost-cutting measures that we took with the budget. And I think that was the fiscally responsible thing to do. So if you guys don't mind setting the 26th as our starting date, and I'll work the calendar back from that and distribute it to select board and to the budget committee. But the budget book you get is going to look pretty much exactly like what you had last year. We have contractual obligations we have to fulfill, but I have told department heads that if they have a position, to hold off if we can, to backfill those positions. And we are being very careful with the money we're spending. Although we are spending the money that we have in grant funding, specifically for COVID-related expenses and things like that.
Bob?
Cushing and Friendship are in a different budget cycle, and they always like to get a transfer station number from us. Are we going to be able to give them something?
We're going to give them a flat percentage increase.
Okay. Okay.
I should also mention that today we met and with the representative from the Warren prison, because as you know, we took that on, and it was a good meeting, and we're just going to proceed. We'll renew for 3 years. You'll see that probably on the next agenda. We explained the rising costs. They're fine, so that went well. But yeah, I will let Friendship and Cushing know.
Any other questions about that? Cool.
So we'll make our second meeting short, business-wise, so that we can do budget.
Sounds like a plan. Landfill closure, how is that coming along?
we got our final report. We have a few little things to do. There was a portion where the erosion might happen that they wanted fixed. But the important part of this is I'm meeting Thursday with them to talk about reimbursement for our costs. Because we'll get about a 70% reimbursement from the state for the
250.
closure. Final number is not in yet, but right around, I think, 310 in the end. Was around.
Pretty good.
It was less than what we anticipated.
And we're getting reimbursed.
And we will get reimbursed. Bear in mind that reimbursement is not in all at one time. So it may take between, I think it's 24 months up to 5 years. So 2 to 5 years. But I'd like to get our first portion in right away. If we could get it in this fiscal year, that would be wonderful.
I just got a question for Bob. Where you're on the transfer station committee and stuff, what happens with that money when we close it and we get reimbursed?
It goes into the transfer station general fund. But it takes pressure off. I mean, it gives us some flexibility in terms of budgeting.
And bear in mind that the last couple of years, you've had to dip into the transfer station surplus for the operating costs.
That's right.
Okay.
So it's.
I was just curious. I didn't know if it went back to the three
No,
towns.
Good question, yeah.
Yep. So, and that's a good chunk of change.
Yep.
So cool. Do we have anything else?
No, we don't.
Yep. No old business. Agenda items for the agenda for the next meeting. Do you have one, Bob?
I'd like to suggest that we put that memorandum of understanding on the agenda of our next meeting.
Yep.
The one that's been circulated with the subcommittee.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. Is there anybody else got anything? You got anything, Katie?
I didn't hear that. What did he say?
I'd like to get the memorandum of understanding on the agenda for our next meeting.
For the 80 Gray building, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you got anything to go on the agenda, Katie?
Nope, I'm all set, thanks.
Okay. Colonel?
No.
Jan?
Just one other question.
Go ahead, Bob.
Have you gotten any feedback, Julie,
From.
on that, on the MOU?
I actually had some emails today, but I was knee deep in something else, so I didn't even open up. I saw it from committee members, but I did not see any. I'll be honest, I was working on some budget stuff so that I could give you some actual insight into life. I had that and a few other things, but that will be my first thing on my screen tomorrow.
Cool. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor?